If you're thinking of buying or selling in Minneapolis this year, then you're going to want to watch this video. This video could potentially save you thousands of dollars or potentially months of frustration. The 2025 real estate market is not like anything most people have expected. And the strategies that worked even 6 months ago are not necessarily the same strategies that are working today. Hey everyone, I'm Mackenzie Rasmus, your Twin Cities-based real estate advisor with Engel & Volkers, and I'm gonna take a deep dive into the real estate stats in the Twin Cities market to help you save money or sell your house for more money. I'm gonna break down everything that's happening with prices, inventory, interest rates, and most importantly, what this means for your specific situation, whether you're buying, selling, or both. So make sure you hit that subscribe button because I post these videos every week and I don't want you to miss anything. I'll be sharing specific neighborhood data with you that you won't find anywhere else. By the end of this video, you'll have exactly everything you need and all of the knowledge that you'll need to navigate this challenging market. So let's dive in. Okay, let's start with the big picture. The Minneapolis real estate market in early 2025 is what we could potentially call a transitional market. Now, let me first caveat this by saying no one has a crystal ball, right? And anyone that says they know what's going to happen is just straight up lying. But the data is suggesting that we are somewhere between the seller's market of 2021 through even 2023 and right up until this current year and a true buyer's market. So here are the key numbers. As of June 2025, median home price in Minneapolis is $425,000. That's up 3.2% year over year, and the average days on market are 28 compared to 45 days nationally. So Minneapolis is still very much a seller's market compared to what you might see in the headlines nationally. That being said, our inventory levels are at 2.8 months of supply, and that's up 1.2 months compared to 2022. And the interest rates are currently at a 6.8% for a 30-year conventional loan. What does this data actually mean? We're seeing a much more balanced market compared to markets that we've seen in the past. Buyers have had more choices and negotiating power than they have had since 2019. But sellers who price correctly are still getting good offers and reasonable timelines. The most important thing to understand is that this market is highly neighborhood specific. While the overall Minneapolis market is balanced, areas like Northeast Minneapolis are still favoring sellers, while some outer suburbs and the condo market are definitely tilting towards buyers. For example, in Northeast Minneapolis, homes are still selling on an average of 12 days with multiple offers. Like, that is very common to see that in Northeast Minneapolis, but in areas like Richfield or some other parts of South Minneapolis, particularly east of Hiawatha, buyers are still getting inspection periods, appraisal contingencies, and even some price reductions, which is great. The key insight here is that location matters now more than ever. The Minneapolis market, it's not one market, it's dozens of micro markets, each with their own dynamics. So let's dive into the market and let me explain what's actually causing these market conditions, because understanding the why will help you make better decisions down the road. So interest rates, the biggest factor by far is interest rates. We've stabilized around 6.8, which is significantly higher than the 3% rates that we saw in 2021 and 2022. But they are not continuing to climb rapidly like they were in 2023. But if folks are waiting for those 3%, 2% even interest rates, those days are long gone, right? We will not see that, hopefully, in my lifetime, because that means something has gone terribly, terribly wrong with the rest of the world, like a global pandemic. But what these interest rates have caused, they've caused an interesting dynamic. Many potential sellers are what we call rate locked, meaning they have a mortgage at 3 to 4%, and they don't want to give those up by buying something else that is nearly 7%. And now this rate lock is keeping inventory lower than what it otherwise would be. And at the same time, the higher rates have reduced buyer purchasing power, which has cooled demand and then given buyers more negotiating power and leverage on top of that. Now, when it comes to population and job growth, Minneapolis continues to attract new residents, and we're seeing steady job growth, particularly in healthcare, technology, and financial services from all of the companies that I mentioned in my previous video, which, plug, you should go back and take a look at why Minneapolis is such a hot commodity for all of those types of sectors. The presence of all of these Fortune 500 companies continues to drive demand for housing. What's interesting is where this demand is concentrated. We're seeing strong demand for Northeast, and other established neighborhoods for single-family homes. Family-friendly suburbs with popular school districts. I'm thinking Edina, Minnetonka, Lakeville, they are expanding like crazy. More affordable options that still provide urban amenities. I'm talking Roseville, I'm talking St. Louis Park. Now, when it comes to construction and development, new construction has slowed significantly due to higher interest rates, and that's affecting developer financing. This means less new inventory is coming to market, which is supporting prices, especially in the higher end segments. The lack of new starter homes is particularly impacting first-time homebuyers who are competing for a limited supply of existing affordable inventory. Now, buyers, this is your section. Buyers, I want to tell you about your opportunities as well as what challenges you are going to be experiencing. So if you're looking to buy in Minneapolis right now, you have had some of the best opportunities we've seen in years, but you do need to be strategic about it. The good news for buyers, first, you actually have choices again. Oh my gosh, what a relief. Instead of seeing a house on Thursday and having to decide by Friday, you can actually take time to view multiple properties and do your proper due diligence and make informed decisions, which is honestly good for everyone. Negotiating power is back. In many neighborhoods, you can absolutely include inspection and contingencies without losing the deal. You can negotiate repairs or credits and ask for closing cost assistance. And you can take time for proper appraisals. I recently helped buyers get $8,000 in closing costs covered and a $3,500 credit for new appliances. That wasn't happening 2 years ago. You also have opportunities in the condo market. If you're considering a condo, this is one of the best buyers markets we've seen in years. The condo market is very soft citywide, which creates incredible opportunities for buyers. You'll find motivated sellers, room for negotiation, and inventory to choose from. As well as if you have any special assessments, many sellers are actually paying that off as part of the deal, which is a great opportunity to get an incredible value. So, interest rate strategy. Here's something crucial. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. 6.8 is higher than 3%, but historically it is still reasonable. And here's the key. You can refinance the rates, but you cannot refinance the purchase price. I have a great lender friend of mine that says you're always 2/3 to the good. If you've secured it at an offer price, if interest rates go up, fantastic, you've secured it at a lower rate. If they go down, perfect. At a point that it makes sense for you, you can refinance. But here is what I will tell you that not a lot of other realtors will tell you. You still have to be able to afford it at that higher percent interest rate. I've talked about affordability being a challenge, but if rates drop to 5.5 in 2 years, you can refinance. And then when all of the other traffic comes in, once interest rates are lower, you've already secured your house. Your house has actually appreciated because of that increased demand, and you're gonna be happy that you made the choice when you did. When you wait for lower interest rates, and let's say they do come down the pike, prices are going to go up 10% because of all of the increased demand. So you've potentially cost yourself more than what the higher interest rate would have. Now, the challenge is affordability, as I said, is still the biggest issue. Even with more negotiating power, the combination of higher prices and interest rates means monthly payments are significantly higher than they were 3 years ago. All right, so let's do this as an example. A $400,000 home with 10% down at 3% is $1,520 per month. At 6.8% interest, that's $1,890 per month. That's $370 more per month, or $4,440 more per year. That's a lot of money. Now, here's where then having strategy for 2025 is going to be even more important. So buyers, get pre-approved early and not just pre-qualified. Full underwriting with a pre-approval gives you serious credibility. And if you have questions on what the difference is or who to get your pre-approval from that gives you more street cred when submitting an offer, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am more than happy to provide that information. Focus on neighborhoods, okay? Not just houses. In this market, location flexibility can save you money and get you better value. Don't wait for perfection, okay? I tell this all the time with clients, the perfect house at the perfect price with the perfect rate, it doesn't exist. Focus on finding a good house in a great location at a fair price. Another tip, consider new construction. Builders are offering incentives like rate buy downs, free upgrades, closing costs, appliance coverage, and closing cost assistance that can make new homes very competitive. Sellers, this is your section. Let's talk pricing and strategy. So if you're thinking about selling, the market is still favorable, but the days of throwing any price on a house, just slapping a price on there and getting multiple offers, tens of thousands of dollars over asking, those are mostly over, okay? Pricing strategy is everything. In today's market, market-based pricing from day one is absolutely crucial. The days of testing the market with inflated prices, she gone. Overpriced homes are sitting on the market for months, while homes that are priced based on what the comparables tell us are selling effectively. So here's what I'm seeing. Home prices based on recent comparable sales are selling in 15 to 25 days with solid offers. And homes priced 5 to 10% over what the market data supports are sitting as much as 60 plus days. And ultimately, this is the kicker, selling for less than what they had been if they would have been priced correctly instead in the first place. So I just helped a seller who initially wanted to price at $475, and based on comparable data, I recommended $445. We got 3 offers in the first 3 weeks and sold for $452,000. If we had started at $475, we likely would have sat on the market and eventually taken less. Conditions matter more. Okay, buyers have choices now, and so they're being pickier about condition. The homes that are selling quickly are move-in ready with updated kitchen and bathrooms and great curb appeal. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to do major renovations, but small improvements can make a big difference. Fresh paint throughout, if you have a professional cleaning or staging, minor repairs and maintenance item, good photography, please get good photography. Do not have somebody just have an iPhone, please. And also being aware of market conditions so you can time it and get best exposure for your listing. Spring is still the strongest selling season in Minneapolis, and by spring I mean the summer months, anywhere from market all the way through August. That is the spring and summer selling season. But the seasonal differences are less pronounced than they used to be. What matters more is being ready when you list and having your home in showing condition. Having your home in showing condition and being prepared to respond quickly to offers will set you apart in this market. So here's your seller strategy for 2025. Price based on market conditions from day one, using recent comparable sales to guide your pricing strategy. You get the most attention in the first 2 weeks on the market, so you really want to take advantage of that first impression. Invest in presentation. Professional photos, staging, and minor updates will pay for themselves and then some, especially in a more competitive seller environment. And be prepared to negotiate. Buyers expect some back and forth on price, repairs, and also the conditions of the terms. Focus on the buyer priorities. Homes are still selling if they're priced correctly, marketed well, and have the qualities that buyers are looking for. And if you need to buy another home, think carefully about whether you need to sell first or buy first based on your specific conditions. And if you have questions on which path is going to be right for you, I have a one sheet that breaks it down exactly for your scenario, and it'll tell you which path is going to be right for you. All right, so let's break down some specific neighborhoods because this is where you'll see the real differences in market conditions. Northeast Minneapolis, as I said, that's still highly competitive. The average days on market is only 12. Why? Because they have arts district appeal, it's super walkable, there's great new restaurants and breweries, and there's strong demand for single family homes. A balanced market like Uptown or the Wedge, there's more inventory and you're gonna see reasonable negotiation. The average days on market is 22, which is still fairly short, but it's not quite as short as Northeast, for example, with 12. The price appreciation is 3% year over year. Why? Because it's still more desirable, but with more options available. Now, here's where you have buyer-friendly markets. You have the North Loop condos, significant opportunities for buyers. Average day on market, 45 plus. Price reductions are fairly common. Now, why? Because there's a large supply of luxury condos with high HOA fees, some up to $1,000 a month, and competition from luxury rental apartments that are often cheaper than buying. So there are excellent buyer opportunities across Minneapolis. This is one of the best buyers markets we've seen for condos in years. Why? Because there's affordability challenges for younger buyers, and those high HOA costs and maintenance-free rental alternatives are creating more inventory and negotiating power for buyers. So if you're selling a condo anywhere in the Twin Cities, you do need to be very strategic with price and marketing. And if you're buying, especially if you're looking at condos, this is an incredible opportunity. You have negotiating power, time to be selective, and sellers who are motivated to work with you. So the Minneapolis real estate market in 2025 rewards those who are informed, prepared, and realistic about current conditions. Whether you're buying or selling, success comes from understanding these market dynamics and having a solid strategy to attack it. If you're thinking about making a move to Minneapolis, I'd love to help you develop your personalized strategy based on your specific situation. Every situation is different, and the generic advice you read online might not apply to your neighborhood or your price range. So here's what I want you to do. First, subscribe to this channel and of course ring that notification bell. I post regular market updates and neighborhood spotlights that will keep you informed about current local conditions. Second, if you have questions about your specific situation, drop them down in the comments below. I'm really gonna try to reach out and respond personally to every single comment that I get. Third, if you're ready to start exploring your options, I've created a free Minneapolis market analysis that customizes to your neighborhood and situation. You can request it in the link below, or you can call me directly at 612-801-4565. Do I need to be a boomer and say it again? 612-801-4565. You get it. So I work with buyers and sellers all throughout the Twin Cities, and I would love to help you navigate this market successfully. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.